If you have ever found yourself stagnated, stuck, or just flat with results in your business, your life, or your career, I've got some excellent news for you. It probably boils down to just one thing. Now, this is not a simple thing. It's not an easy button and it's not a fast fix. But I will tell you that if you can focus in on and transform this one area, it will have a ripple effect in all areas of your life. If you're not where you want to be financially, physically, meaning your health, your fitness, and otherwise, if you're not where you want to be with your relationships, if you're not where you want to be just in life in general, and you feel maybe stuck, maybe like you've plateaued and you think there's nothing more, I've got some excellent news for you. When you transform this one area, everything transforms. You want better performance out of your teams? This is going to help you. You want better results for yourself? This will definitely help you. You want to set your family up for success? This one area is the leading driver for all success in business and life. And I'm going to be talking about that on this episode of the True Driven Podcast. What's up, my friends? JT DeBolt with you today for the True Driven Podcast, the podcast for the few, the true, the driven, those of us who have aligned and united to become the True Driven. And I say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever time it is for you, no matter where you might be tuning in from on the Big Blue Marble. Thank you, as always, for joining me here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course, YouTube, youtube.com/JT DeBolt, your home for all things True Driven. Hit that subscribe button so you can be the first to know and stay in the know when I bring new content to you each and every single week. Not just content, but information, valuable assets, valuable resources that you can use to up your game in your leadership, personal leadership, in all aspects of business and life. This one aspect that I'm talking about today goes out to all of you who have ever felt like you're flagging in your results, meaning you're coming up short. Maybe you've been working hard for a long time and you're starting to feel that burnout. Maybe you felt it for a long time. Maybe you're not quite getting the results that you had thought you would get by now. Maybe you've worked really hard and you're not seeing the return on that investment of time, energy, focus, even finances. Maybe you're leading teams. Many of you are. You're leading teams, but those teams aren't matching up to the expectations you had for them. They're not rising to the challenge that you are pushing them to. And you're wondering, how come these folks aren't following through? Is it because they're lazy? Is it because they don't care? Is it because I myself as a leader am not doing my job? All of those things could be true, but I'm going to suppose it comes down to one critical thing. And I want to share with you what that is. Oftentimes we look at our results and we think that that is the actual metric. We think that that metric, the result, whatever it is, sales, finances, whatever, is the telltale sign of the value of our actions. And there's some truth, there's an element of truth to that. But we can't take our results at blind faith and think that is exactly what's, indicative of our actions, our plan, or whatever. There is a driving force to all results, to all success in business and life, that if it is not clarified for ourselves and communicated outwardly to our teams, to our friends, to our family, to our community, we have very little hope for it following through. If we don't have clarity on that one thing, then the results that we dream of are just that. They're just dreams. In order to intentionally attack and predictably hit our results, we have to have one thing clear in our minds. We have to be able to communicate that to the people around us. And that one thing is vision. Now, vision is oftentimes very misunderstood. I get this. People oftentimes think vision means a certain thing. I want to give you really quick what my personal definition of vision is. You can look this up. There's probably some cool definition of it in a textbook or a dictionary somewhere. But I want to give you the True Driven definition according to JT DeBolt for what vision truly is. Vision is the overarching clarity of what you are committed to achieve, the impact you intend for it to make, and the clear connection to that which drives you to pursue it. Now think about that for just a moment. That definition is basically indicates that you and you alone get to define the direction that you're going in your business, your life, your career. But it's also talks a lot about the impact, meaning it's more than just about you. It's all on your shoulders, but it's not just about you. It is also for other people. Very often when we talk about vision, people confuse vision with goals, or they confuse it with dreams, things like this, understandably. But vision, in the sense of how it applies to business and life, is something that we have to be ultra clear about. Not just clear on what it means, but also get clear on it for ourselves, our version of our vision. And know that that thing, once we kind of get clear on it and start to pursue it, can become one of the greatest driving forces for all results, all success that we seek. Think about it this way. If you don't know where you're going and I say, hey, let's go on a road trip, you might get excited. You might love road trips. You go out, you grab some snacks, you fuel up the vehicle, you do all the stuff, you pack your bags. But if you don't know where you're going, you don't even know what to pack. You just assume I need a full tank of gas, but what direction are you going? North, south, east, west? Where are we headed? What's our first area, our first point of direction that we need to go in order to hit that ultimate destination? The ultimate destination is not just the destination itself. We choose the destination because of what it means, what it represents. It's a big difference between saying, hey, we're going to go on vacation or we're going on a work trip. It's a big difference if we're saying, hey, we're going to go visit loved ones or we're going to go, look at a site for a new business venture. All of these things can drive the definition of a vision, but we have to be clear on the purpose. One of the most important things that gets missed, especially in business, is a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. And even though some of you very well-established leaders, business leaders, you may have a clear sense of that. But my question to you, especially if you've been feeling flat lately, or you feel like you've been kind of missing the mark, maybe not hitting your KPIs, hitting your targets, have you taken the time lately to revisit your vision? If the answer is no, I haven't done that, then this is an invitation to do that, because your vision is very, very important as a leader. It's one of the most important aspects to success, because the more clear you are with that vision, the more on purpose you will stay. The more clear you are in your vision, the more follow through you will have, even for the tough or the benign, the kind of banal things that we all have to go through as leaders, the boring stuff, the tedious stuff, which, let's be frank, makes up 80 to 90% of our existence. The truly high level elite performers in business and life are the ones that embrace the boring, embrace the sort of mundane, and follow through on the small details. They're able to do that not because they're exceptional. I mean, yes, they are people with mental toughness. Let's talk about that. Mental toughness is critical and important, because there is going to be an element, even if you are clear with your vision, that you have to have a strong sense of mental toughness in order to follow through with the mission. But for those of you who have ever listened to my podcast on the Big Four, values, vision, mission, and purpose, you'll probably remember me talking a little bit about vision. Today, we're going to drive deep into it because it is one of the key elements, one of the 6 principles of the True Driven process. And so we're going to be talking about vision, because whether or not you're clear on it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because you can get clearer on it if you're clear. If you have no clarity on your vision, you are not lost. Or at least if you're lost, you won't be lost for long. Because the intention for today is to help you get clear on how to not just develop your vision, but to be able to share that vision and follow through on it. So let's just start breaking it down real quick. The concept of vision is to have a sense of direction for where you're going with everything you're doing. How often have you found yourself just sort of in that treadmill of life, answering to the tyranny of urgency? Everything feels like a priority. I mean, have you ever found yourself doing the dishes when you know you should have been doing your taxes, or checking in on your emails as opposed to following up with those sales leads? Things like that have a tendency to show up, and it does not mean that you're lazy. It doesn't mean you have ADHD. It doesn't mean you have some sort of a neurodivergence. I know those things are really sexy and everybody likes to use that as a well-formulated excuse, but let's be frank. Those are just that. They are excuses. And even if they are true for you, they are overcomable. Yes, I made that word up, but they are overcomable, which means that if you have those things standing in your way, they do not have to dictate how high, fast, and far you fly in life. Those things that come up as excuses or possible answers and reasons for the lack of performance in your business and life are things that you can and will overcome when you're clear on your vision. So how do you create a vision? Obviously, the very first important thing is you have to get clear on what it is you actually want. When was the last time anybody asked you that? Hey, what is it you want? Probably not too many people. And the people that did ask you, hopefully were asking from a place of genuine curiosity, meaning they had your best interest in mind and they genuinely wanted to know what it is that you personally want from your business, your life, your career, whatever. What is it you want from your relationships? What is it you want from your health, fitness, and wellness? How often do we really think about that before making decisions? Asking the question, what is it you want, is key and essential in serving as basically your North Star. Think of it like a GPS, a global positioning system in your car or an aircraft, on your phone, whatever. A GPS's job is to point you in the direction of what you want, to point you in the direction of your desires. If you want to go out for lunch, go out for dinner, you figure out where you want to go, you punch that thing into your GPS, and the GPS guides you from where you are to that location, that destination. The same has to be true as a leader. You basically have to be the GPS, not just for yourself, but for your teams, your organization, your company. You get the idea. And so the idea here is that we have to be crystal clear on what specifically we want. What we want is important. And I know that might sound selfish to a lot of people. Unfortunately, this day and age, the concept of what we want has taken on the sort of implication that that is a selfish endeavor, that somehow seeking what we want out of life is somehow a thing that only serves ourselves, a self-serving type of endeavor. But here's the reality. If we aren't clear on that for ourselves, how are we supposed to lead other people? It's going to be real fucking hard to do that if you're not clear on what it is you want. Now, step 2 to this is we have to get clear on the purpose behind that, what you want, but what also about that is important to you. What about the thing that you seek is so important that it's worth pursuing, worth committing to, worth putting as a priority and going all in on? What I just said right there, that little pocket, that little phrase is key and essential. I want you to kind of slow down and think about that. Let me go back and say it again. You have to be willing to look at whatever it is you want and you're pursuing and see the true deep value for it. Not just the surface level value. Well, I want to make more money, obviously, so I have more money. That's not good enough. Or I want to buy that particular house because it's awesome. It's in a nice neighborhood. It's in a nice school zone or whatever. That's still not good enough. You want to buy the car. You want to buy the watch. You want to buy all the stuff, especially if it is a materialistic thing. We got to assign more than just the materialistic value to it and something more than just some sort of thoughtless intrinsic value. We have to get clear deeply for what the meaning of that pursuit truly is to us. The pursuit, not just the attainment. What would it mean if you had those things? What would it mean if you had the house, the car, the watch, the whatever? It's got to mean more than just the ego stroke. Because if you're purely pursuing it for ego, if you're purely pursuing it for the vanity and for everybody else's approval, it won't take long before the energy behind that pursuit burns off. You will start to lose that momentum because you're simply driven by motivation as opposed to driven by true inner drive, the true driven way. The discipline required to pursue anything that's valuable and important, anything that has a sense of meaning to it, requires us to be super clear on what it means to us, you the leader. So that's your first step. Get clear on what you want, followed by the importance of it. What does it mean to you? What is the purpose behind it? Now, you guys have heard me talk about this. I get very spirited on how I think that finding the why of something is kind of a bullshit throwaway endeavor. But I want to be clear. Oftentimes that term is misunderstood. It's about finding the purpose. And the reason I erase and eradicate the word why is because it's a useless word. Let's get clear on what it is we're really talking about. If you're really talking about purpose and we all agree that that's what the why is, then stop talking about the why. Start talking about the what, the purpose. What is the purpose? Stop calling it your why, start calling it your purpose. And notice how much stronger that is inside your energetic state. Like think about just mentally how much more focused you are when you talk about, well, here's my purpose, or this is the purpose behind this. I'm pursuing this with purpose. It doesn't have to be your purpose to buy the house. It doesn't have to be your purpose to even launch the business. Your purpose might be bigger than that. And you may not know what your quote purpose is at the time of launching the business. That's okay too. You have total permission to not always be quote on purpose. But having a sense of purpose to your life is going to be important. And so when we talk about having a vision, this is typically going to serve that hunger, that thirst, that need that you have to, quote, find your purpose. So for any of you that have ever said to yourself, I just don't know what my purpose is, be okay with that. If you ever said that to me in a coaching session, I would say, hey, that's totally fine. Let's talk about creating a vision for yourself. What's that overarching theme that you want for your life and the impact you intend for that to make, not just on yourself, but the people around you? The people around you could be defined as just your loved ones, could be the teams that you lead inside your organization, your business, for instance. Maybe it does extend beyond that. Maybe it does extend to your community. Maybe it does extend to your country, to your world. It doesn't matter. So long as it matters to you. So long as it's important to you, that's all that matters. So now that we've gotten clear on what we want and assigned some meaning to it, like what's important to us as the pursuer and the leader, the captain of the ship, so to speak, we have to start getting clear about how to communicate that, even before we get clear on the how. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see leaders make, one of the biggest mistakes. And I understand it. You guys are driven. You want it now. There's nothing wrong with that. Keep that hunger, keep that fire burning, keep that going. But before you step off and burn yourself out or drive yourself into a hole, be careful. You don't always have to have the how in place right away. A sense of the how for sure, yes. You don't want to just jump off, but flying by the seat of your pants, being whimsical about these things. You do want to be intentional, and we'll get to the how in just a second. But what I want you to focus on before you get there is the ability to start communicating those first two pieces to the people around you. Get it outside your head. Journal it. I'm a big fan of paper to pen or pen to paper journaling. Personally, there's something magic about how it causes your brain to slow down or circulate that information as you are patiently writing it. Don't worry about your penmanship. It doesn't matter. You're not turning this into somebody to grade. This is just for you to formulate your thoughts. And I know, listen, there are going to be people out there that are going to push back on this. They're going to tell me, dude, you don't understand, JT. I'm somebody who has to type it. I need an electronic interface. I need that Word document or whatever it is. Fantastic. You can still have that. But first, take the time to deliberately write it out by hand. I know it's painful. I know it can be frustrating. Your brain is going 1,000 words a second and you can type even faster than that. But there is something somewhat meditative about this, and it causes you to really sit with the definition of your vision. This is not a check in the box, move on to the next thing. This is you helping define the rest of your life. This is helping to define the actual path. You want to get clear on the how? Do this work first. Do the deep work of actually writing it out. Because by doing this, you now have the foundation, the groundwork on which you can build the rest of the communication, where you start communicating this to the outside world. When I came up with the concept of true driven, it was just a thought that passed in my head one day in the gym. True driven. I don't know where it came from. It sounds goofy, except for to me, it made total sense. I wanted to create a community. I wanted to create a following, not just for myself, but for other people. I wanted to create a home for people who were truly driven, who felt misunderstood by the people around them. How could you be so driven? Are you crazy? How come you're so one-track minded when it comes to your success? For those of you who have ever felt like you don't quite fit in with society because you're hungry and you want more, you're driven and you want more. Maybe you feel like you've plateaued and you don't know how to get past that plateau. You want to go to that next level in your performance. That's what true driven is for. And when that term came to mind, I was like, I'm going to build a community and a home for these amazing people So they have the resources and they have the connections with each other to create the results they want in their business and their life. That's called having a vision. Now, there are deeper, farther reaching ripple effects to all of the things I'm describing to you, but you've got to get clear for yourself what that is. You don't have to have a cute name for it yet. Maybe you do. You don't have to have a beautiful logo. You don't have to have all the colors and all the stuff figured out for your brand. But if you do, that's great. The reason I say it's okay if you don't is because in the beginning phases, when you're formulating this and you're sharing these ideas with people, you might find that certain things fit better than others. And if you just say, hey, I'm going to lock in on these colors, I'm going to lock in on this phrase, this catchphrase, I'm going to lock in on this branding message, you may find that over years of doing it over and over and over again, all of a sudden it starts to take on a different meaning. And that is okay, so long as you're doing it with a sense of purpose. Values, vision, mission, and a sense of purpose. Now, when we talk about defining your vision, that's a very personal thing for you. I'm happy to help with that. If you need any resources or you need any support with that, throw it in the comments. Let me know. But I will tell you that it is a deeply personal journey. You and you alone have to be able to do this and go through it. And yes, you'll have plenty of support with that. But it is something that not somebody else can define for you. You can't outsource this. You can't ask AI to do it for you. This is something that you and you alone can and have to do for yourself. Now, for some people, that may sound exciting. You may say, yes, of course. Maybe you've even worked on your vision. Maybe you're very clear on what you want from your business, your life, and you're clear on the impact that you intend for it to make. You're clear on it so much so that you're willing to go all in. It has become a priority. It has become something you've committed to and something that you're willing to sacrifice for no matter what. That's it. That's the definition of being a true driven. Being clear, being committed, having it as a priority so that you can follow through on it and going all in no matter what. That's it. That is the formula for creating a vision. Now it's up to you to be able to do that. Get clear on what you want, get clear on the importance of it, and then start to write that out, journal it out. Notice the things as you're coming up with your vision that come up for you. What do you notice? Here's a couple of things to think about. What do you notice? What do you notice about how you feel energetically? Does it feel intimidating or does it feel exciting? Do you feel diminished, like smaller than it? Do you think like, man, this is bigger than me? Or do you feel empowered by it? Do you feel that maybe it's something that is going to require more time and thought? Or is it something that you feel like I'm ready to go in, put on the gloves, get in the ring and go all 12 rounds with the heavyweight? Notice how you feel when you start talking about and defining what your vision is for yourself. What do you notice about your internal guidance system? What is it telling you? The other thing to notice is it true? Or are you creating a vision based on what you think other people will want to hear? You're not trying to recruit anybody. You're not trying to pull anybody in and get them convinced. You're simply saying, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go as far as I can, as hard as I can for the rest of my life with this, even though it may transform, it may change, it may morph, it may evolve. If it does, if it transforms, evolves, or does whatever, that's fine. So long as it's true for you. So long as it is something that is authentic to you. Now, will other people reject it? Absolutely. Will other people accept it? Absolutely. That's the good news. It doesn't really matter who falls into that category. Hopefully it's the people that you know, love, and trust. Hopefully it's the people that will support you. And likely they will. But here's the key, and this is kind of a little cautionary tale, and I just want to be clear with you. There will be times where you're in an attempt to try to share this, in an attempt to try to convey it, in the beginning stages particularly, it may be confusing, it may be a little bit clumsy. You're going to just have to sit with that and be okay with that. It's not the end of the world, and it doesn't make you deficient. It just means you may need to refine that message, and you will the more you work with it, the more you talk about it, the more you share it, the more you think about it, and also, yes, the more you pursue it. You got to put the work in, which we'll get to in a second. But there is an element when you're working on your vision, when you're working on all of this, that you have to get the clarity for yourself. It's the key and most important part, my friend. You have to get clear for yourself. If you're not yet clear for yourself, there is no way in hell you're going to be able to get other people inside your circle that are going to be willing to support you or follow you along this. You talking about recruiting people. Yes, in a sense, that's kind of what it is. You want to recruit people in your vision. Does that mean they have to join you? No. Does that mean they have to support you? Not necessarily. But if they encourage you, if they're part of the people that will say, hey, I don't understand this, it's not something for me, but I believe in you, go get some, that counts. That's a win. So we got to be clear on this. Not everybody's going to be a team member. Not everybody's going to be a participant, and that is okay. Those few people, that narrow band of amazing people who will be a part of it, those are the ones you want to focus on. For all you true drivens, you know what that means. You know what it feels like to be a narrow band of people, a very small cross-section of society who gets it. So you've got to be willing to go out there and communicate this on a consistent basis. Scratch the paint, ding the sheet metal, put the miles on the odometer with your message. Once you've done that, then you have the ability to start building the how, the actual roadmap, the blueprint for how to build it. And that's something that's actually a lot easier said than done, but it's also more simple than it looks like. I think a lot of times entrepreneurs overcomplicate their quote blueprint. They think they need some fancy business plan. Well, look, you can jump on AI, you can jump on Google, you can do whatever, and you can look up how to create a business plan or an action plan. It's not super complicated. We're not putting a rocket on the moon or a rover on Mars here. We're simply saying, hey, how do I attain this result in this area in a short amount of time, in an efficient amount of time? Let's talk about that for just 2 quick seconds because it's an important little rabbit hole to go down. Time is not as important as efficiency, and efficiency can only happen through repetition. So if we're constantly trying to get something to happen faster, I want to get six-pack abs faster, I want to get my first million or my next million faster, it's not about the time. It's about how efficient can you do that? Can you do it in 15 steps as opposed to 20? Can you do it in 10 steps as opposed to 15? And so on and so forth. You start to refine your process. That's where you actually start to compress time and pick up speed and likely get there faster. But it's not about speed. It's not about ease. It's about efficiency. And efficiency can only happen through practice, through repetition. And when it comes to your vision, the thing that keeps you on the path and the thing that keeps you going through that growth process and that learning process is knowing that the end game is worth it. So if you've ever fallen flat in your results, if you've ever plateaued in your performance, if you've ever thought to yourself, man, how long is this going to take, or is it even worth it? Then start going back to your vision. Get clear on your vision and not some fancy vision statement. Remember, it's not words, it's feeling. It's not some cute phrase, it's purpose felt inside here. Like your heart, your soul, your mind knows that this is true and authentic for you. And only you can know that. So trust that process. Put the work in, put the reps in, get clear on your vision. The last thing I'll say about this, because it's so key and essential, is this. The more you communicate to other people, be willing to receive whatever feedback you get. You're going to get plenty of blank stares. You're going to get plenty of, yeah, that's great, kid, go get him. That kind of indifference, do you know what I mean? You will get people who support you. And yes, of course, you're going to get the trolls who are going to tell you it can't happen, the negative thinkers and all that stuff. Accept all of it. Just accept it. Receive it. You can either choose to own it and take it on board or scuttle it. That's entirely up to you, especially the negativity. But do not discard any of it. Look for elements of truth to it. If you get negativity and there's elements of truth to that, don't allow it to fuel self-doubt. Look for that as a way to pivot and refine your process. Maybe it's how you're communicating it. Maybe you're saying it in a way that just isn't clear to people. The vast majority of people who reject you, they don't reject you, they reject your idea. And the reason they reject the idea is because they don't understand it. So that's an opportunity, as opposed to seeing it as negativity or people hating on you or whatever. Step back and ask yourself, how might I communicate this differently so that people understand it better? How might I communicate this differently so people understand it better. At the end of the day, no matter what feedback you get, take it on board, learn from it, then move on. Even if it's the glowing, you got this, I believe in you support, or you've got the naysayers and the trolls that are telling you it can't be done. Take it on board, listen to it, accept whatever parts of it you need to, and then move forward. The most important thing, if you've ever found yourself flat, stagnated, plateaued, if you ever found yourself frustrated because the people around you aren't performing at the level you want them to, or you're frustrated with yourself because you're not performing at the level that you expected of yourself, go back to your vision. Define that vision for yourself. What is it you want? What about that's important to you? What do you need in order to make it happen? But also spend the time, invest the time and the energy and the reps into clarifying it, communicating it, receiving the feedback, and then putting the action plan in place to make it happen. That's what it takes for vision. That's what it takes for follow through. It also takes something called evaluation, which we'll talk about in a future podcast, so stay tuned for that. If you got some value from today, leave a comment for me. Let me know what you got from this message. Also, please share this far and wide with at least one person. Have them come on board. If you haven't yet done so, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Stay in the know so you can be the first to know when new content comes out. And remember, no matter what course you fly in life, fly high, fly fast, and fly far, stay driven.